are live. Hello, everybody. Asaf from Israel here. Seth from New Jersey. We are the
Hi everyone.
quaranteam. How we doing, Seth?
Asaf, what a world we are living in. That's like our new thing now. We're like dancing, and then I don't know when you're making us live, and I don't know how much of the dancing they're seeing. Hi everyone. Really good to be with you again. Please let us know where you're from. Hi Mara, hi Fabian in Mexico. Hey Mom in New Jersey. Hi Cece.
Hey,
Everyone
David.
more.
David
Yeah,
Mancini. Happy to be here.
David, we have one of your questions from, I think we have one of your questions from last week we're going to answer today. We have a special show today. We're past 20 episodes already, and it's time we saw after last week with our last show was with Ellie, right? Yeah, I think last show was with Ellie. And I think Mary before that more questions are coming, more questions, and we just don't have enough time to get to them. So today we are going to have plenty of time dedicated to getting to those
Yeah,
questions.
today we jam with you
Yeah,
and
we
your
just
questions. So, Seth, basically, we said everyone can ask about anything today, right? We are not limited.
open floor. Yeah, I mean, it's the quarantine show around, what's going on with the virus and the perspective of the wisdom of Kabbalah on that. But obviously, it opens up a lot more questions about who am I, what am I, what's going on here, how do we communicate, and all those things. So yeah, why don't we open that up?
Yeah, if you want to
Um,
ask something in relation to the wisdom of Kabbalah in general, and there wasn't really a time on the show to do that before, today's the day. So go for it. Ask questions live. We will do our best to really answer everything. We
Samson is here from Ethiopia. Hey, Samson.
Oh,
Wow.
great, great.
Yeah.
Wait, you're seeing Samson from Ethiopia? I'm seeing
Un-
Biruk from Ethiopia.
okay, so we have
So we have,
two friends from Ethiopia
wow,
joining us now.
impressive.
Asaf,
Yeah,
I'm hoping that you have some news stories, but I wanted to kind of set the stage a little bit.
sure.
An article that I saw in the New York Times recently saying that just how many millions of pounds of food are being destroyed right now. There's reasons. I mean, people aren't going to restaurants. There's this the schools that normally have lunches are not able to. But right now, there's like I think millions of gallons of milk every day that are just being dumped into some lagoon
Yeah,
or into some manure
yeah.
pits or something. Hundreds of thousands of eggs, good eggs, are being crushed and putting
Mm-hmm.
in some pile somewhere. Millions and millions of pounds of produce are being just buried on the one hand, and on the other hand, in this hemisphere, and then in another hemisphere across the ocean, you have millions and millions of people, hundreds of millions of people starving.
Right.
And it really struck struck me when you see that there is everything we need. The piece that's
Mm-hmm.
missing, all of the people, all of the energy that goes into creating stuff and all of these endeavors of ours. There's nature provides everything that we need in order to live a good life, and it's up to us then to make it important enough to use it in a way. And this is we're talking simply about food, which is we're not
Yeah,
talking about anything
man,
spiritual yet.
it's so simple. Like, just think if you knew that someone in your family was dying from hunger, and at the same time, your brother would like throw a bunch of food, like, to just dumping it. What would that wouldn't make sense in any family, right? we
Mm-hmm.
would we would find the way. We put people on the moon. There's no problem to circulate food and medicine, by the way, and clothing and housing, but let's not get into that right now. But it just goes to show, the whole thing that's missing for us to make this world better is just to feel that we're one family. That really is, sounds naive. It sounds like, airy fairy, kind of like pretty words. But honestly, that's all we're missing. We're missing that as a perception, as a gut level feeling that will drive our systems and our
I feel
production
that I
and
have a heart.
distribution.
I
Yeah.
feel that I have, this heart is beating inside of me, and this is my life. I don't feel that the billions of hearts are my body, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
that feeling that it's is one, that humanity is one body, white, black, red, yellow, the whole thing is one body. When we start to feel, and that's what this is what the virus has shown us, that we are this integral body, that all of humanity is an integral body, and that anymore it can't be anymore that, one part of the body is sick and it doesn't affect another part anymore. Now, because of the integrality of humanity, through this process we just kind of finished, this process is concluded. The wisdom of Kabbalah calls where we are now, it's called the last generation. It means it's the end of a certain era and the beginning of a new kind of life that all of humanity has now become. We rose out of the, we're not crawling on all fours anymore. We presumably became human beings, although according to the wisdom of Kabbalah, we're not exactly human beings yet. And this new integrality, so nature brought it, you know, it developed this desire in us that we want more things, and then it caused us to want the things cheaper, and then, so factories over there and outsourcing this, and one thing led to another with it. Before we even knew it, the entire world was interconnected. All goods, services, technologies, everything that happens, is happening in an integral world. So now the world is like that, and now it's up to us to activate that system.
Okay,
Because if we
as you were saying that, bro, I just had to. I dug up this quote from Kabbalist Yehuda Ashlag, also known as Bala Sulam. Uh, you know it very well, but our viewers may not. So he says that it is certain and unequivocal that the purpose of creation lies on the shoulders of the whole human race, black, white, or yellow, without any essential difference. And that is so much, it describes so well the kind of worldview and that heart, that global heart that we're missing. But hey, what is Corona for, man? As tragic as it is on the one hand, on the other hand, that's what it's designed to do. It is designed to bring us to that sensation, to that understanding, to that recognition that we are indeed all one, that we are all connected, that we all depend on each other, that our well-beings have become intertwined. And what has happened, especially in the last century, is that we can no longer run away from it. And this coronavirus is just the beginning. It's just the beginning. Hey, check this out. There's this headline that I picked up, right? So scientists, let me show this to you and to our viewers. So scientists are saying that, worse pandemics are on the way if we don't protect nature. Now check this out. They're saying there's 1.7 million unidentified viruses known to infect humans that are estimated to exist right now in mammals, in water birds. And these viruses, nature is, it's stocking up against us. It's getting ready. You're muted. You're muted, Seth.
not just in the birds and the animals. So also there are, in Nepal, I think, is the oldest ice in the world. There's viruses that are like 15,000 years old that are still alive, that are frozen in the ice. And as the ice melts, these viruses come into the air. So this kind of ridiculousness that we're going to come up with, which is what we see in the media, which everybody should know, although it's very hard to. It's Goebbels, the guy who was the propaganda guy for the Nazis, right? He said that a lie said enough times. I don't know what his quote was. Maybe say
he's
a
perceived
lie
as
enough
truth.
times, it becomes the truth. This concept that we're going to come up with some vaccine and end this COVID-19, and then we'll be able to just go on with destroying all of our relationships and destroying the earth, and polluting all the water, and
It's just
exploiting
childish, honestly. At the end of the day, looking at
that.
it,
How many viruses does this article say are waiting in the
1.7 million
1.7 million viruses are waiting in the line in
in the
order
virus
to come
sphere.
out.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So, but this is not something to be frightened of if we are approaching
Exactly.
life in the right way. These are they don't have any business with us if we're approaching life in the right way. If we are approaching life in the right way, then all of nature supports us. Like, look at a baby who has every need met inside the mother's womb. All the baby does is submits itself to nature, to mother nature, to its mother, and every need is taken care of. And all the mother wants to do is love the baby. And then, the kid comes out and is just a terror, just like destroying everything, whatever, it's like, no, just the program of nature here is all of our needs can be met by the system, but our greed and ego um, are out of control, and it causes this total imbalance in the system of nature. Asaf, do you want to hit some more headlines, or do we want to start to get to questions? Because I see that
Well,
I could jam with you for an hour
we
here.
yeah. You know what? Let's start answering some questions. And as we said in the beginning, those who just joined us, today's show is for you specifically for your questions. We are jamming with your questions today. So ask away. Ask about anything. Things in general that you want to ask about, anything you want the wisdom of Kabbalah's perspective on. Today's the day. So go for it. Just type your question in the chat. We'll pick it up. Yeah, Seth, you got something
Got Yeah,
to
we got
start
so
with?
Samuel asked this last time. We didn't have the opportunity to get to it, but Samuel said, "The can the future be predicted outside of cause and effect?" And that seemed relevant to me when I isolated that question before. Do you want to take a stab at this, or can I jumpstart
Maybe
you?
maybe jumpstart, yeah, because
Okay,
I can remember the context of the question, so it can be an hour answer. So maybe you start.
okay, so just if you would let us know where you're from. Hi, Adrian, uh, Pascal, CC, C from Norway. Okay, let us know. Oh, good news from Jacqueline in Brooklyn. There is free produce for hungry neighbors. Okay, so let us know where you're from. Let us know your questions and what's burning on your heart, and we'll get to that. So Samuel says, "Can the future be predicted outside of cause and effect?" This was from a conversation we were having, I believe, with Ellie on Tuesday. So what we start to discover in life when we investigate is that there all of the things that are happening to us come from causes. Okay, so I woke up in the morning and all of a sudden I have a desire that I need money, or I have a desire that I need food. Or I don't know where these desires come from, or maybe even I have certain desires, like I trained to be a professional athlete or something. So now all of my desires are directed in a, towards that. So in order to do that, I have certain things I need to do. Um, but we exist, if we look at it, inside of a certain framework, and we don't know where these desires awaken inside of us. All of a sudden, I need a new bike. All of a sudden, I need a new car. All of a sudden, I need to get my hair done. All of a sudden, I need these things. These desires awaken inside of me. According to the wisdom of Kabbalah, there's no such thing as a miracle. There are things that are miracles. There's even the word miracle. But there's nothing that what it means is I don't yet see all of the connections that are actually happening. We're living inside of a fixed system, right? That's why after pushing against the earth so long, like maxing out our credit card against earth is now coming to um, look for repayment, so to speak, to balance everything out. So there is no, everything in a sense is within that cause and effect, but it's not just like a billiard ball table, Samuel, because it takes more than just our egoistic perception in order to see what are all of the forces that are in action. Saf, you have more to say on that?
Well, I, I I don't want to go too too long on this one, so we can answer more questions. But the future, predicting the future, is like if it depends on how you think about it. A physicist who knows the forces of gravity, for example, right? So, you know, a physicist can tell you, if you tell him like what kind of object you're dropping from where and at what speed, it can tell he'll tell you when it will reach the ground, right? So is this prediction of the future, or is it just an understanding of natural laws? So in the same way, yes, the wisdom of Kabbalah does explain to you the natural law of creation, this governing law of the whole of creation called equivalence of form. And that explains where creation is going. And once you understand that, and you also understand other laws of nature, like the nature of creation and the nature of the creator, and the nature of the dynamic between them, and then you can start researching the relationship between them, then you can understand a bit more about where humanity is headed and why certain things happen, and you can see certain things about the future, but not necessarily in detail. You can see that humanity is moving towards greater connection. You can see that humanity is moving towards greater interdependence. So that explains to you why certain things happen. And again, that was just to give you the rough kind of explanation of what it means to predict the future. So there's no fortune telling. That doesn't exist in the wisdom of Kabbalah. But there's definitely an understanding of natural laws that gives you some foresight. Okay, so
Asaf, before the next question, just want to say hi, Bertha in Miami. Hi, Adams from Zambia. And hi,
hello
Barbara in LA. Yeah,
from
wow.
Zambia. That's a first.
This is
Wow,
unbelievable. I don't know how
unbelievable.
everybody's finding our show. Messiana from Italy. Hi,
Terrific.
Christina in New York. Of course, Shira Land is here as every time. Hi, Shira.
Hello.
She has some questions. Okay, so um, let's go. There's a lot of good questions here. Wow, Adams from Zambia is asking what happens after death. Okay, so Asaf, you pick the next question. Okay.
You just said one. What was it?
Okay, but it was out of it was there was it was out of sequence here. Uh, it was I lost it. It was so Adams from Zambia asked what happens after death.
Okay, if you mean yeah, I'll start with this one. Maybe you'll
Okay.
find the next one, and then we'll switch. The um, death. You probably mean the death of the physical body, right? Because that's what we attribute to the word death and life. The life of the physical body, the death of the physical body. What was the question again? Is there life after death?
What happens after death?
Okay, so when this body dies, unfortunately, not a lot happens with it, man. What happens is that it rots in the ground, and then it is eaten by maggots. Uh, Not a lot happens with the body. However, we human beings have an opportunity while we are alive, while our consciousness is clothed in this physical perception of reality. We have an opportunity to develop something eternal. The matter of creation, according to Kabbalah, the substance from which creation is made, is not a physical substance. That's just how our eyes and five senses perceive it. The matter of creation is a desire. The desire does not die. The desire never dies. It exists at all times. Now, what we perceive in our corporeal experience of life is only a fragment of that desire. It's very limited, it's very small, and that's why it gives us a sense of limited livelihood. But if we learn how to connect to and how to develop a greater desire, what we call in Kabbalah a desire for spirituality, or
The soul, the birth of the
this
soul.
call it the soul. If we learn how to develop that, if we can get in touch with that, then we go beyond the dimensions of time, space, motion. Then we go into the dimensions of energy, if you want to call it that way. Things that, by the way, even physicists understand today at some level to be, not dying. So it's just a matter of putting the difference here between the physical body, which dies, and the desire, which lives on. And if we connect to our spiritual desire and to learn how to develop it and become conscious of it and so on, then that goes beyond the death of the physical body. The
That's eternal life.
Kabbalist, Baruch Hashlag, the Rabash, the teacher of our teacher, Dr. Lightman, he used to say, your body dying is just like changing a shirt. throwing your shirt into the washing machine. So
To somebody who has developed the eternal sensation of the soul.
of course, for us, the death of the physical body is, for us is like a loss of everything, and for us that's tragic, of course. But for Kabbalists, it's a different perception. In any case, next question.
This we could
Yeah.
spend several hours
Let's give short
opening that
answers
up. So
today.
okay,
Yeah.
so again, hi everybody. If you are just joining us, we are having an open show today. You are our guest. We are jamming with you today. We want to hear your questions. The show, the quarantine. We are the quarantine. We are here together in quarantine, and we are re-educating ourselves on what is happening with the virus and how do we uh, see clearly, according to the wisdom of Kabbalah, what is happening. This is already kind of, not kind of, this, there is a path that is already laid out in front of us. We will all become like one man with one heart. We will all become united. And we have an opportunity to do that in a pleasant way, in a quick way, or we have the opportunity, not the opportunity really, but to be pushed from behind, as like being a good kid or not being a good kid. Either way, you got to get the work done, but you either do it quickly and get it done, or you get, punished from behind. So what's happening now is that humanity's resistance to, or just not lack of development, like a green banana, it's just not ripe yet. So it doesn't see the reality of what's happening. It doesn't see that we are interconnected. It doesn't see that we're interdependent and we all count on each other. And so therefore, these things are taken as blows. What we want to be able to do is learn what is happening and how we do go through this in a comfortable way, a way that we can already open the book and see exactly what's happening. We don't exactly know what clothing, like we just talked about what happens after death, the clothing, what body it takes, many different forms in our physical world, but the process is the same. So welcome. The questions, we're open here to hearing questions, and we will try and answer as many as we can. All right, what do you got, Asaf?
I see a question from David Mancini on YouTube. He was asking, you know what? I think he has like a two questions there in a series. It may get long. Let's try to answer it short. He says, I'm a bit curious about Adam HaRishon. Is there proof? Do I have to have faith? Maybe you could just give me a simple explanation. And then he asks also, attainment, is it really possible? After attainment, what's next? Is there a limit? So, okay, I'll take a crack at that. So, first of all, David, maybe you are confused a little bit with the term Adam HaRishon and what that means. So without going into all the details, when we say Adam HaRishon in Kabbalah, this is a term.
Try to say it without an Israeli accent so all the people in America understand.
Adam HaRishon. Okay. So Adam HaRishon, when we say that, whether you say it in English speaking kind of accent or Israeli accent, doesn't matter. What it means is the collective soul of humanity. Humanity was created as a single desire. We feel ourselves right now broken, shattered. So everyone feels their own desires. So we feel that we are 8 billion disconnected people right now. But underlying that, at the bottom, at the core of reality, we're one. We're one at the level of desire. That is called the collective soul of humanity. Adam HaRishon, or Adam HaRishon in Kabbalah, refers to that entity, that collective entity of which we are all part. Okay, so maybe you got that confused with something else. What is becoming revealed as we develop in human history is more and more instances and ways in which we are connected to each other. We gradually are discovering, human beings are discovering that they're connected, but from the eyes of Kabbalah, that's very clear. It's a reality that exists from the moment we were created. There is a process of revelation that is gradually taking place. Again, going back to predicting the future, that explains to you why certain things happen today in this context, right? Including the pandemic and how it contributes to our sense of connection. So Attainment. Let's talk about faith and attainment and the difference between them. And Seth, you wanna take it from here, or you wanna look
Same
for other
question
questions?
or next question?
You look for other more questions. I'll continue
Okay.
about
Okay.
faith. So faith, attainment, and what the difference is. First of all, in Kabbalah, in the authentic wisdom of Kabbalah, in the practice of Kabbalah, we don't practice. It's not a belief system. We don't believe, in things. What's a belief? Essentially, a belief means that someone who knows something, feels something, learned something, whatever, told me. I didn't learn it for myself, saw it for myself, and I believe it. If that's the kind of faith or belief that you're referring to, that is not part of the practice of the wisdom of Kabbalah. In the wisdom of Kabbalah, we practice something called attainment. Attainment means that you come to feel and know something just as tangibly as grabbing it and grasping it in your hands. That literally is what the word attainment, ga in Hebrew, the original Kabbalistic language, what it means. It means to hold something in your hand. So spiritual attainment means that you develop new vessels of perception that enable you to perceive something you didn't perceive before. The method of Kabbalah teaches you how to do it. You have to follow it in order to get the results. So it's an empirical method of attainment, okay? In a sense, it's much like the scientific method, only that in the sense that there's a certain kind of set of laws that you follow them, you get a certain result, you repeat the experiment, you get more results, etc. But the difference is that you are both the researcher and the object of research, because the research happens within yourself, within the development of your emotional and intellectual vessels, if you will. Your mind and heart are developing, are expanding. Sorry for the long answers here.
Yeah, let's keep them short.
I didn't know if you were looking for another question or not.
No, okay, we got a lot of questions lined up
Yeah.
here.
All right.
Judith, so I mean, a lot of really good ones. Judith is asking on Facebook, in Kabbalah, is it black and white or gray? Do we infuse the darkness in the light? There's no darkness, but on the other hand, there's no light. So is that infusion part of our transformation? I'm just trying to understand the light and how it's good. Judith, we see in the natural world, which is where anything in Kabbalah starts from what we perceive. Okay, I'm in a world, they tell me God is all good, but I feel like crap. Okay, that's real. We don't have any kind of belief about something. We start with what is real. So what do we see? And then from there we rise to the highest heights, but we do it in a very pragmatic and real way that we can hold, and we attain these things, like Asaf was just saying. So we have night and we have day, right? Like we look in the world, we see it's dark and then we see it's light. We also see in our belly. Perfect example. I get hungry and then I can feel it. Let me ask you, Judith, if you're totally full, if you just ate your full dinner and your dessert and your coffee and your wine, and somebody comes and brings you a meal, you have no appetite for it. So the nature of our life in this world is that in order to enjoy something, we need to be empty. And the more empty we are, the more I can enjoy it. If I just hugged you for 15 hours, I don't really have an emptiness to hug you. But if I haven't hugged you in 3 weeks or 6 weeks, I have a big emptiness inside of me and I want to hug you. I get a lot of pleasure out of it. So what happens in this world? It's a model of spirituality, like Asaf was saying before about the desire. Everything is a desire. We are a developing desire that keeps getting bigger and bigger. At first, we just want to breathe, and then we just want sunlight, and then we want food, and then we want a mate, and then we want a house, and then we want power and money and honor and knowledge and everything in this bigger desire. And it's the same principle. The more you want it, the more pleasure can fill inside of it. Now, what happens in the wisdom of Kabbalah is we realize that this is a process that every time the pleasure enters, it cancels the desire. You're hungry, you eat, no desire anymore. So in the wisdom of Kabbalah, we're learning about another reality, which the previous question, what happens after we die? The body is that thing. It's hungry, now it ate. It wants sex, now it had it. It wants a hug, now it had it. It wants money, then it gets it, right? That's all happening on the level of the body. But there's another degree of life that we're developing called the spiritual degree of life that exists simultaneously and is eternal above that, above night, day, night, day, night, day. Okay, there we go, Asaf. I think that was still a little too long. Let's try and get it. We'll
No,
try and do them even shorter than that.
we're getting there.
Okay.
Christopher
Let me ask.
Clark.
Okay,
Yeah,
go for it.
Christopher
I
Clark
was
is
going to ask you Chris's
asking,
question. Yeah.
will what's happening currently in the world push the world to more advanced approaches to daily life overall? Absolutely. Yes, that is exactly correct. Everything that is happening in nature, in reality, has a purpose. Now, that's not some, in Kabbalah, it's not some, poetic, new agey kind of, pretty kind of saying. That comes from a very technical reason that there is a purpose to creation. The desire, which is the only thing that was created in reality, has a purpose. Its purpose is to become eternally fulfilled with and equal to the light that created it, that abundance that created it. Now, we're not going to get into a whole course here about the light and kli and the wisdom of Kabbalah, which are the two components in the whole of reality. But everything that happens since creation was created, therefore, is part of that purpose. In order for the desire that the created being to become equal, similar to, and filled by the light, it has to become reconnected, consciously reconnected as one. So we were shattered into pieces, and now we have to become one again. So everything that's happening is in order to promote and advance us to that understanding. And as we do that, as we change internally, we will also change our daily life. So you can expect a major revolution, if you will, a fundamental cultural revolution will happen. We are in a very special time right now, according to the wisdom of Kabbalah. We're in a time that is referred to as the last generation, a time where humanity begins to develop as one towards its purpose, towards the purpose of creation. So yeah, you will see changes happening in society, economy, our systems of governance, and everything else. You got something? You're muted, Seth.
The people that are joining us, Asaf, are really all over the planet. I don't know how this is happening, but it's amazing. I feel like we said this before, but each person here counts for millions of people. Okay.
I do want to say this. I see that Lucinda, Colorado says, thank you for the explanations and all that, but I wish my connection would remain consistent so I can hear it all. I think we are also experiencing, unfortunately, some choppy connection here, but hopefully at least the sound you're getting smoothly, so we will try to fix that as well. Bear with us. So I'm just wanted to say I'm sorry.
We're having technical issues?
Yeah, I see that our stream is a bit choppy and it's frustrating.
Okay.
But, it's probably for us to increase our effort to connect between us and the viewers and all the viewers, all of us to connect to one desire. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. David Mancini says he understands Kabbalah better when he's stoned, he thinks. Okay. Yana says that she will... she's leaving, but she'll be coming back. Natalie is in the Ukraine. So really, Asaf, we have people everywhere. Hi, Alex in Miami. All right. Here we go. Biruk Alamehu. He's asking on Facebook.
I think that's from Ethiopia. Biruk is from Ethiopia. Yeah.
All right. Amazing. Hi, Biruk. Kabbalah teaches us we have two paths, the path of pain or the path of Torah. What is Torah, first of all? So
yeah,
we didn't go through all of the fundamentals, but let's clean this of any kind of religious. The Torah is what changes. For example, a boy, he's in a classroom, he's 10 years old. All of a sudden, he recognizes Nancy for the first time, and something happens inside. Right? There's a change that happens. Nature performs a change on a person. That's not a linear change. It's some kind of shift in a state. Now, of course, this is biological. We're talking all, which is also, coming from this same force of development that's developing this desire in us. Um, but through that example, you can kind of understand what is the Torah. It is this light. It's called the light in the wisdom of Kabbalah that that responds to our inner work, that takes us basically from 10-year-old Seth to the 11-year-old Seth who sees Nancy for the first, that awakens. So it's this thing that performs some kind of correction on us from egoistic to altruistic, from just viewing just feeling myself to feeling what is outside of myself, meaning my connection to everything. Asaf, is that a good definition for Torah?
Yeah, I obviously we can't get into a whole lesson about every term here, but it is very important to understand, you guys. Kabbalah is not religion. It predates, in fact, the three major religions, and so the concepts that have been borrowed over time from the wisdom of Kabbalah, and some of them were interpreted differently by belief systems and by religions. And so in Kabbalah, Torah doesn't mean some book that people consider as holy. Like Seth said, it is a program that is embedded in nature, designed to invert our desire, our intention from self-benefit to bestowing upon others. That's what it
Okay.
really means. Go ahead.
So Viruk's question is Corona part? So he says Kabbalah teaches there's two paths: the path of pain and the path of Torah, which means either we go towards the good future proactively, or we go towards the same exact future but get knocked from behind. So the question is the Corona part of the path of pain? Okay, is it part of the path of pain? And is the path of Torah the means that the corona will affect us positively if we engage in the wisdom of Kabbalah? Okay. Want me to go for it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Uh, Nothing that happens at all is bad. Now, this is another hard to digest, hard to understand. But if we can see that everything is meant for now, if we feel everything just according to bitter and sweet, if we're determining everything in life according to bitter and sweet, then but then we get one kind of outcome. But we see in our life that sweet is not always good, and bitter is not always bad. In fact, medicine is often bitter, or I think always bitter, unless they put sugar in it. So, according to the wisdom of Kabbalah, we have a new discernment. Okay, so this is like the third time in the show already we've talked about it. There's the level of the body, and then there's the level of the soul. So on the level of the body, we have the discernment called bitter and sweet. On the level of the soul, we have another discernment called true and false. So something that's true may feel bitter. Something that's false may feel sweet. I think everybody here can relate to that in their life. So what we're doing now, we're saying, okay, so to my body, maybe the coronavirus feels bitter, right? I want to be outside. I want to, I want all these things. But let's look at it other side. Let's look at it from nature. We were our lifestyle before. Okay. We sent our kids off to school in the morning, let somebody else take care of them. They came back at night. We weren't really sure what was being filled in their heads, although they were getting Asaf. I live in a really nice town in New Jersey, like beautiful suburban town. My kids did mass shooting drills on a regular basis I'm not in some like inner city somewhere. This was considered normal life 2 months ago. Asaf, this year, my children were hiding in the corner and closing the shades because they were doing a preparation drill for somebody to come into their school firing automatic weapons at them. Okay. that was okay.
And
That's what we could.
that's what's so hard to comprehend here,
Sick, man. It's sick.
that it's okay, that it's what we
That was
consider
normal to us.
normal.
That was okay.
Yeah,
That's what we want to go
exactly.
back to. You
Yeah.
know, that every ocean is being filled with plastic, that you can't even breathe from the air, that I'm sitting in traffic for an hour and a half each way to work, and that was the life that we all want to go back to, right? So let's look for a minute at what's happening in the world. Let's look at what the virus is doing. Let's look at the kind of things that the virus is cleaning from the economy. Let's look at the BS that the virus is wiping away. And let's look at what's happening, as this is nature teaching us that this is not something that's bad. This is a well, that's all I want to say on that question. Oh, I got fired up there. I was thinking about it this morning. I'm like, my kids were
Yeah.
doing drills for were doing active
But
shooter drills in their
yeah.
school, and that was considered normal.
So that goes to show, maybe let's say just a few more words about it. Why are we so? Why is it so hard for humanity to change course, to change direction? That is exactly what we refer to in Kabbalah as the human ego. We are. It doesn't seem to us like that, but we are enslaved. Kabbalah refers to that process as liberate of discovering our spiritual purpose and changing our lives accordingly, as liberation from enslavement. This is how the wisdom of Kabbalah, this is how Kabbalists describe the process of spiritual growth. We have to discover, first of all, just how enslaved we are to our own human ego, that we are doing everything to serve it, and even at the cost of ruining our well-being, our lives, our the lives of our
So forget
children,
about
our grandchildren.
forget about
Yeah.
all the conspiracies of whether or not Bill Gates wants to sell us his vaccine, or whether the Democrats are trying to take down their. Forget all of that crap. What we know is, and forget if they're overcounting the numbers or undercounting the numbers, or a guy was 500 pounds and he died and they said it was COVID, and should have been whatever. Forget all that. What we um, what what we see is that Saf just sent me a special message. What we uh, what we see is that the more people are together, the more people are getting sick. Okay, we know that's the case, that it's spreading between people. And what we see now is just what you said. We can't, as a population, we can't even stop ourselves from, like, people now are protesting. They want to go back. We need to get back out. There's no thought of how do we be healthy. I mean, besides staying away from each other, there's no education going on yet. I mean, here we are educating, we're bringing guests, but in general, we don't see our leaders. We don't see the politicians. We don't see the people on TV every day telling us how, oh, what are they telling us? Just wait for us to give you an injection. You know, what, so what we have is people who are ready to go back out into, just go back, even if it's going to make them sick. I saw the projections now. They're going up into the hundreds of thousands, they say, in the United States, if they open all of these restrictions. And still
But
nobody's saying, okay, how do we manage this? Not just,
I do think, however, that looking at the global state of things, looking at everything, I think that people are changing, and in what we're seeing is that in meaning people are responding to what is happening. Um, there's two things I want to say about this. I'll say it shortly. People are changing. Some of them, their response is they're getting more stubborn, more relentlessly trying to go back to what they know. But that is also a part of recognition. It is moving towards a higher awareness. For other people, they're already at the point where they're saying, I don't know, here's a simple example, like 54% of Americans, I saw some surveys say they don't want to go back to working outside. They want to work from home. Some people, there are some similar statistics about parents who want to homeschool their children. Some people are feeling that something is wrong wrong with what we called normal, that the normal was abnormal. Some people are feeling that. And some people are just scared. They're getting very afraid of change. And that's why when you don't see a vision for something new, for the future, for a better future, the inertia is to go back to what you know. So I think there's, it's a complicated system that is gradually evolving, human consciousness, that is. And I want to say something else, but I think I already forgot. So maybe let's move on to another question. You're muted.
It's easier for me to see the questions on Facebook, so if you can check out what's going on YouTube as well.
All right,
I can see it, but I don't think I'm getting all of them. I see some from Romania and Rwanda. Wow. But I can't see all of them there. So I got one here from Philippa English on Facebook, and she's asking, how often do people succeed in spiritual attainment without having a Rav? Okay, so our teacher, everybody is we call him Rav. What Rav means is big. It means it's the next degree. It means it's like you're a child and you look to your parents for food and for a home and things like that. So you can, it's possible, but it takes a very, very long time and a lot of getting beaten up along the way, because there is none as wise as the experienced, meaning there's no, in fact, in the wisdom of Kabbalah, it's called forbidden. It just means impossible that a teacher can give you your next state. Every advancement that we go through is something that we have to build inside of ourselves so that we can actually perceive and feel what's happening. What happens with the teacher is you get a clear, like on a boat, it's kind of the captain. It says, okay, now lift that sail, or, over here, there's a storm coming. He kind of understands the road. Would you explain it like that, Asaf, or you have some more insight into that?
Yeah, first of all, Rav, again, to interpret the word, what it means, like you said, is, big or great, the greater spiritual degree, greater level of attainment. That's it, very simple. So, just like you learn from your dad something that you don't know, just like you learn from your professor in university something that you don't know, there is a lot of benefit in Kabbalah as well to learn from a teacher. In fact, there are three components that make your practice of Kabbalah complete. One is having a teacher, again, an authentic teacher, who also received this method through another authentic teacher, and so on. And that's why there's such a thing called a teaching lineage in the wisdom of Kabbalah. In any case, that's one. Another thing is to the Kabbalistic writings, the Kabbalistic texts. These are, your formulas and your states that you're learning about, and the emotional phases that you need to go through. All of that is described in the Kabbalistic writings. This is the method itself that was packaged and passed down from generation to generation of Kabbalists to the point where, more and more people can use it. And this method was also, just like any science, by the way, was perfected and completed over time, over millennia, in fact. Those who will go into our free course will get a lesson about the history, the historical development of the wisdom of Kabbalah. Fascinating stuff. So that's two. We have teacher, books. Number three, and that's probably the most important in terms of the practicality. People here are asking about attainment, and can you attain spirituality? Where do you actually feel it? How do you actually do it? You need to do it with other people who have the same desire like you have. This is more than just a support group. Of course, there is that community aspect as well. But you see, the kind of stuff that the Kabbalistic books are writing about, the kind of world that Kabbalah is describing, exists in that space between those desires for spirituality that exist in human beings. You cannot discover that realm on your own because it is simply outside of you. There is only so much words that can be used to explain this. You have to literally experience this on your own. But in concept, it's very simple. Spirituality doesn't exist in any one of us, but it exists between us. In order to find it, we need a teacher who will guide us. We need to read the books that are describing those states. And we need actual other people with that unique desire to go into this resonance with. And then you have a complete system where you can actually practice the wisdom of Kabbalah in a serious manner. Now, maybe that was too hardcore for people. I don't know.
Well, that was really nice.
But okay. So in any case, don't worry about it. There's a step-by-step course for those interested. If you're really interested into going deep, then take the course. We'll put the link here if we haven't already. So we'll put it on the chat, and then you can get there. Did you see another question?
There's so many. Okay.
I do something. I see something off YouTube that I think
go for it.
Maybe
yes,
maybe you'll want to answer, Seth. Jake Zaligman is asking, how can music and art help us to grow this spirituality that you're talking about?
I think I know who that is. Hi, Jake. How can music and art help us to grow this spirituality?
Is this Jacob Zaligman?
That is. I think that is Jacob Seligman. I can't see the
icon is really small here, so I don't know. Okay. But in any case.
So I asked our teacher, our Rav, this question before. I think in 2012. I said everything has been said already. I mean, look at like Michael Jackson's "Man in the Mirror." I'm looking at the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. If you want to make the world a better place, look at yourself. John Lennon, imagine there's no countries, no religion. Imagine all the people living life in peace. Hasn't every Bob Marley, one man, one love, one heart, let's get together and feel all right. Hasn't everything been said already? Or, you listen to, you could put on a piece of classical music and it's just so emotional, you just start to weep. Hasn't it all been done? And his answer was pretty short and pretty humiliating for me. He said, when a cow moos, it's like better. It's more in touch with nature, the true desire of nature, than any of that. And it took a while to kind of understand what it means. Even today, it's like, what? But everything that happens in all of our music today is born from our ego. It's born from some feeling for, Safa was going to play a song today. And now I'm saying this, I hope, I'm criticizing myself here. Every time, all of our music, all of our popular music comes from our ego, from some egoistic desire. But Jacob, the answer to your question is 100%. Music and art and culture, this is exactly what the new world needs. But nothing has been said yet about it, meaning the world, anything that's out there already is like a foundation, is the compost. You know what compost is made out of? Is the compost that this new life has to be born from. We need to fill our ears and fill our eyes, and all of our children, every time they pick up their phone and every time they go to a classroom and every song that they listen to. Imagine if it's all about connection, about how good it is to be friends, how good it is to be in love together. That is exactly what we need, Jacob, is music and art to help develop inside of a person a feeling of connection, a feeling of unity with everyone.
Kabbalist Yehuda Ashlag Balasulam, again, the preeminent Kabbalist of the previous century, it was important to him to, when a group of students gathered around him and they came from, with different kind of mentalities and different, different kind of flavors and all that, he actually wrote several melodies, very special Kabbalistic melodies, that became very unique to that group of Kabbalists of his students, and we are very familiar with these melodies as well. And to this day, we play them and even arrange them differently musically. And if you watched our show in the last few weeks, you've probably seen that we brought on the show all kinds of students of Kabbalah from all walks of life, people who are longtime students who are engaged in all kinds of art forms. Some are musicians. We've had the Mayan band here. Some of them are filmmakers like myself, or video producers, or vloggers. People are incorporating and expressing their Kabbalistic insights, their insights from the wisdom of Kabbalah, into their music, their filmmaking, their lecturing, their homeschooling, whatever it is. And that's a very positive thing to do. In fact, our world, which needs to go through a cultural paradigm shift at this day and age, that's exactly what it needs. It needs people with that new mind shift towards a connected humanity to recreate our foundations of culture. And that means everything. Sure, economics, politics, all that serious stuff, so to speak, but also, education, of course, but also music and film and art and so forth. So, there's definitely room for that in your spiritual development. Seth, we are kind of out of time. We have to wrap up this one. I'm wondering, how do you want to wrap up? Unmute.
We just cruised through an hour. So this was a new format for us. Every show at the beginning, we had 2 guests on per show, and then we saw that there was not enough time to really dive deep with everyone to one guest per show, and then we saw there was so many questions we tried today. I think that I like having the guest. Maybe, but definitely
I think
somehow
every couple weeks we can do this kind of Q&A thing. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, this definitely got into more broader kind of questions about what is the wisdom of Kabbalah and how does it, everything was very general, although the direction of the show at the beginning was what is COVID-19, what is happening in the world according to the wisdom of Kabbalah. So I think going forward, we'll have to discover more. And also as things change, as people start to exit the quarantine, and maybe new viruses come on the scene or different kind of things, we'll have to constantly talk about it with everybody together. How do we live in life in a good way? And maybe what the show becomes will change shape a little bit as well. Save the live song for next time though, because we're at the top of the hour.
All right, we will leave you with a song. Speaking about music and everything, this is a song that we love, that Tash from the UK, our friend and Kabbalah student, produced exactly following Jake Zelgman's question. So here's an example of, I'll play it from the beginning so you can hear the entire song. We'll end with that. This is, again, coming from a Kabbalah student who wrote and produced a song based on how he felt, where the world needs to go, and what Kabbalah has to say about it. So it's called All for One. Let's hear it, and we will be saying goodbye. So
thanks everyone for being with us today. We'll see you on
everyone.
Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern.
Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern, and I'll see you then.
If it feels Hands upon our shoulders, hearts no longer colder. Yeah, we getting bolder out there in the press. Not for the beef, but for the truth. Nonetheless, we the best. And invite all the rest to come join. To the point of no return, just a flip of a coin. I'm not